What's up, beautiful people? This is Mike from Mike Gadgets World, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at the LG OLED C1 with the Xbox Series X gaming settings. And yes, we're going to be looking at the Game Optimizer settings for the LG OLED C1. And I did this testing the other day for the LG OLED C1 versus the LG OLED C10, the brightness test, and C1 was slightly better than the LG OLED C10 when it comes to the 10% brightness window and the 100% brightness window. So we have a brighter game mode in the LG OLED C1, and we want to make sure that we get the best out of it. It's been really annoying for the gaming being a little dull, so we want to discuss in this video how to take advantage of that and make sure to get the best out of your LG OLED C1. So try these settings out and let me know in the comment section how do you like them. So I'm going to run you through these settings from the scratch. I'm going to reset the picture mode so that I can walk you through each and every step that I did. So if you like the content, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video, please, because that's going to help me a lot. All right, so now without any further delay, let's just get into these settings and see what I have cooked here. All right, as you can see that I'm not a good driver with my Lamborghini Centenario. I came 5th. That's bad. Oh, look at everybody else's car. I mean, my car was fully maximized. Well, that happens. That happens. All right, I'm going to go to the all settings. And in the all settings, I'm going to reset this picture mode, which is the HDR Game Optimizer. As you notice that as soon as I hit the reset, it's all bluish, right? I mean, it's all that blue, heavy blue tint that you can see on the screen. So we're going to do some settings to make sure that we don't have that, because right now you're looking at the medium temperature. That's why it's like bluish screen. We're going to go and adjust that. And also you can see that I'm in the FPS game mode. I'm going to go back to standard mode because that's where we're going to be doing our calibration. So our baseline calibration, we're going to be looking at the standard mode. That's where we're going to do our Xbox HDR game calibration. And then on top of that, I'm going to tell you what I'm using. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to go to the all settings, and in the all settings, I'm going to go to the advanced settings. And in advanced settings, what we will do is, first of all, we'll go to the color and we'll go to the white balance. And here we have the color temperature at 0, that is medium. We want to bring it all the way down to 50 because 50 is equal to what we have in the LG OLED C10 and other models, warm 2. So I like my settings at warm 2. There's no hard rule. If you want it warm 1, you can take it to the warm 30, but I like it at warm 50, which is warm 2. So once we are adjusted with that, I'll show you another thing, but clarity, I'm not touching anything. I'm going to leave super resolution off, sharpness at 10, that's fine. I'm not going to change anything over here. If you want to make it look more better crisp quality if you want, but then you can't play FPS game on that, heavy processing involved with the super resolution. Okay, next thing we're going to go and do the energy saving off. And that is available in the support section at the bottom. And then we're going to go and AI service, make sure that AI brightness setting and all that stuff is turned off because we don't want our brightness to be dim when you're playing it in the dark room. So I usually play my games in the dark room and I just hate it when it dims the brightness. Okay, so now we are done with the TV. Now we're going to go to the Xbox Series X settings and we're going to head down to the Game HDR settings, and we will adjust our HDR white point balance and all that to make sure that we are fully calibrated at the warm 2. So as you can see, we are at 4K 120 Hertz. I'm going to go to 4K details and we have everything check marked and we are good to go. And then next option, calibrate HDR for games. And you know the drill here, right? We're going to next and make sure these pictures match with what you see on the display. So it's easy peasy lemon squeezy, but sometimes really tricky. So you have to just increase or decrease the brightness, darker or brighter the area to match that, where it says right or wrong. So make sure that it's in the right box. So it's for the checkerboard and you make sure that it's just barely visible. So if it is totally gone, that's bad. If it is fully visible, that's bad either. So you have to make sure that you are where it is barely visible. I increase my ISO so you can see on the screen, and I was trying to get there, where I have that checkerboard almost like disappeared, but it's not totally disappeared. Okay, once that's done, you have to make sure that you have the same brightness for the checkerboard. If you can see those blocks have, the gray and white, that means you have done something wrong. So make sure to increase or decrease there and make sure that it's totally, just same brightness for all the boxes. And as soon as all the blocks are the same brightness, you should be good to go. And the next one is almost similar. And this is really important because this is going to decide the maximum luminance. And you don't want to crank it up all the way up because that's how you're going to get those washed out colors. So just make sure that it's right there where it matches. Same thing you have to repeat here. All of these blocks have to be, the equal brightness. And as soon as you achieve that, you're good to go. Settings are done in the Xbox Series X. And we're going to go back to the our game settings. So there are 3 types of total settings for the HDR game picture. One is in the TV, one is in the Xbox itself, and one is in-game HDR calibration. So you have to do 3 different calibrations to get the best picture out of your TV. Sometimes people say that, oh, it doesn't look good and all that because, yeah, they have done it in the TV, they have done it in the Xbox, but they forgot to do it in the in-game. So now this is where I like it. It looks good. It looks perfect, the way it should be for the warm colors. It's not like bluish, all that cartoonish looking. So now I'm going to take you guys to the settings in the in-game where we're going to adjust the HDR and the white point balance. So we go to the video and we go to the HDR white point. So as you can see that I'm going to increase or decrease my ISO to make sure that you can see the logo is visible, right? So if you don't do this calibration, your picture is going to look dull. So make sure you do all these settings and do it for every game when you play, because every HDR game has a slider inside and it has instructions, how to do it. So make sure you do that. And mine was around like 3,800, 4,000. So that's where I had my HDR white point. And then you got to do the same thing for the HDR brightness and make sure that the barely visible is just barely visible. So you're barely making out of that. And then visible should be visible, of course. And the clearly visible will be the most prominent one. It's easy, tricky. Be gentle on this setting. Don't just crank it up or crank it all the way down. Just make sure that you are doing it, gradually, just hitting one button at a time. Just don't go like all the way up and go all the way down. Just make sure this is how it should look. Barely visible, visible. And we are done with that setting. I'm going to bring my ISO lower. And this is where I have my calibrated baseline settings for my games. Okay, this picture looks amazing in person right now. It's maybe a little overexposed in the sky and all because that's because of my camera. I'm trying to bring the ISO lower possible so you can see exactly what I was looking at the screen. So I tried my best, but sometimes it's not easy to capture what I'm actually looking on the screen. But this is not it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make it more brighter. And that's where you're going to play your FPS games. So I'm not playing an FPS game right now, but I want to show you what happens when you go to the FPS mode on the LG OLED C1 in the Game Optimizer settings. So we're going to get into that setting, but that's not for, these racing games. Racing games, you should just stay here. Looks good. It's amazing. But, FPS games, you're playing Call of Duty Warzone, somebody hiding somewhere, right? You can't see in the dark. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the Game Optimizer and we're going to switch to the FPS mode. And you will see one thing. As soon as you switch to the FPS mode, your gamma is going to increase because that's what's happening. Look at the black stabilizer and the white stabilizer. It just increases from 10 to 13. So it is exactly what's happening, how your gamma increases and your overall screen brightness increases and you lose a little bit of shadow detail. But that's where you're going to see clearly, where your enemies are hidden. And you can literally get them by their neck easily. All right, so that's what happened mostly in Call of Duty Warzone. Somebody hiding in the building is dark and just on the corner and you're playing it on OLED TV. And, that's what happens when you know the rest of the story, right? Okay, so color is going to look a little washed out. So we're going to go to the color settings. In the color setting, we have the color depth. In the color depth, it is by default at 55. So we're going to increase it. I mean, you can increase it by 60. 60 looks good. I'm going to increase it to 65. maybe the color look little saturated, oversaturated, but they are not. I mean, it's my cell phone recording directly from the screen, and Samsung tends to be, saturated, oversaturated sometime in their displays, and also for their cell phone recording directly from the camera. So I'm recording it from the Samsung S21 Ultra, and it sometimes records the the colors are a bit oversaturated, but they are not. But if you feel like they're oversaturated, you can go to 60. So why I increase the color, its live color in the Sony A90J is the same thing here. So if you increase the color intensity from 55 to 60, that should be good enough. If you feel like 65 is just too much. But this is how you're not going to have those washed out colors, what people see when increased gamma, and then you have that, FPS mode. So I kind of liked it here, and it just worked out amazing for me. I just drove a lot on the Forza Horizon 4 game, and everything was visible, in the dark, near dark details I could see easily. So, but I wouldn't do that for this game particularly. But the thing is, you have done two settings now. One is the baseline calibration. So whenever you want to play Forza Horizon 4 racing games, or whatever it's PlayStation or Xbox, you can stay on the standard. And as soon as you want to go and kick ass, you want to go play Call of Duty, Warzone, or Battlefield 5 or something like that, you can switch to the FPS. And when you go back to the standard, you'll have that calibrated picture that you have from the Xbox Series X calibration and also in-game calibration. But if you go back to the Xbox Series X calibration again and try to do that white point adjustments again, you're going to have again the same dark picture. So do your baseline on the standard and then switch between FPS to standard. Whatever the calibration you want to do, make sure you're doing it on the standard. And then you can go to the FPS, so you will see that change. But if you switch to FPS and you're like, oh, I want to go in Xbox Series X and do calibration again, you're going to go back to the same how you were at standard. So don't make that mistake. Just stay on standard, do your calibration, and then go to the FPS mode. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video and liked the settings. If you have any comment, anything you want to ask about, we can talk about in the comment section. Also, you can reach out to my socials. I've been getting some requests, some messages from people directly. So that's all I have from this video. I know it was a little lengthy one, but I just wanted to make sure that I show you everything that I did. So if there's anything that I can help with, make sure to start the conversation in the comment section. Like this video and subscribe to the channel, guys. You've been doing great for me, helping me a lot. We are about to reach 16,000 subscribers, so way to go. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you in another one. Until then, peace out.